Hi, this is Tim Santoni, and welcome to the Santoni Spotlight. Today, I'm joined by Marc Brener. Marc, thanks so much for joining the show.
Thank you, Tim.
Appreciate you taking the time. Before we get started, maybe give our viewers a sense of a little bit about your history in terms of your career to this point, and a little bit about your company now, so we have some context for the conversation.
Thank you. Well, I actually had been in the oil and gas industry for, more years than I care to remember, but I've seen and done kind of everything on the upstream side of drilling wells and evaluating reserves, and on the downstream side of marketing and trading. And after having run my own natural gas brokerage business for a dozen years and having had kids, I felt like maybe it was time to give back to the earth instead of taking from it, and hopefully have my kids be proud of what I do. And so I kind of did a mid-career, midlife change and learned everything I could about sustainability and the environment and renewable energy and energy efficiency. And so here we are today.
And today, what is the name of your company, and what is it you're specializing in? What kind of clients do you work with?
Sure. The company's called Energy Experts International, and we focus, the company is a large company, it's over 600 people. And we're a consulting firm, and just like the word says, we're international. We have offices throughout the United States. We have offices overseas, and we focus on all areas of energy consulting, whether it's oil and gas, transmission pipelines, regulatory. And I was able to, and lucky enough, to work with the president to create two divisions within the company that focuses specifically on energy efficiency, renewable energy applications for both the commercial world as well as the residential. So we cater to commercial, industrial, business owners, building owners, and we find ways to make that building operate from an electric point of view more efficiently, save the money, create increased cash flow, and from that they get a lot of federal tax credits.
Sure, makes sense. So we're here in Orange County. There's a lot of commercial real estate, multi-tenant. There's office,
Absolutely.
that kind of stuff, and obviously there's a lot of investment in that side. So maybe at a practical level, give our viewers a sense of some things that a property owner in, say, a large building, what are some things they could take advantage of that kind of give them the ability to have better efficiencies with their energy and
Right.
potentially exposed to some potential tax credits or rebates and things like that?
Sure. So the process is actually, it seems simplistic at the outside, but whenever I meet with a client, I talk to them about energy efficiency, and of course, since this is sort of a brave new world, everyone immediately says, "Oh, you're talking about solar, right?" And I try to tell them that we're gonna take a journey, and the journey involves understanding how all of the mechanical parts that are powered by electricity are working within their building, and what's working well and what isn't working well. And we can do that by literally monitoring through the electric panels how each piece of equipment is operating, and we can see how much electricity it's using, and even put that down to a cost basis on a per square foot. We then look at those systems and determine, is the lighting been upgraded to LED? What's going on with your windows? Are the windows single pane? Is there a lot of sunlight coming in from the south and southwest exposure side? And how is that affecting the heating, the ventilation, the air conditioning? And we kind of put all those together. There's a lot of moving pieces, but there's an analogy I like to use, and it's kind of silly, but my daughters love these little corgis. You've seen them, short legs and their bodies. So, these little things are not probably the most efficient kind of machine, right? They have little stubby legs, they're trying to go fast and not very fast. And then if you compare it to, say, like a Great Dane, this is a huge animal, it takes a lot of fuel, very powerful, but sort of wasteful. But when they're combined, I don't know if you've ever seen one, but it's a beautiful looking dog when they're mixed. And that's the energy efficiency engine that we're looking for, something that is good to the fuel that's being put in and is able to use it in an efficient way.
Yeah, so you mentioned a point there that I think that people talk about is that when you talk about renewable energy and being more energy efficient, people talk about solar. So maybe give our viewers a sense a little bit about what a good introduction looks like for you, who that point of contact
Sure.
is, and kind of the top three things that you might hit on for them that might raise their awareness when they're just thinking,
Sure.
oh my gosh, this is just another,
So, when I'm asking for a referral, whether, it's a lawyer, it's an accountant, it could be insurance, whatever it is, I ask them when they're talking with their client, is that client experiencing pain on their power bill side of things? If they say, "Hey, how's your power bill?" and the guy says, "You don't want to know?" that's a perfect referral, because they're obviously dealing with a situation that perhaps they just have their manufacturer, and I have a number of manufacturers where they get a lot of these peak loads, peak demands, where there's a lot of power being used during a point of the day. If that's the case, it's perfect for me, because we have ways of being able to deal with that, possibly with solar, possibly with storage batteries, or in combination. And then there's the other moving parts within the building that are using that kind of energy. So those are the kind. So if it's not the conversation of, hey, how's your electric bill? Then if you're dealing with a client, you know that they own a building. Perhaps they just bought a building and they're trying to find out, is this something I want to hold, or is it something I want to flip? That's a perfect referral too, because we can do energy audits. We can evaluate what's going on inside that building and do cost segregation and what's called life cycle assessment of those assets. And we can tell them, this building is worth holding on to, this equipment's great. Or you should get the building, but you're going to, buyer beware, this AC unit's going to break on you probably in the next 3 years. So those are the kinds of things that we can do.
Interesting.
And those are the kinds of referrals, manufacturers, distributors, all that kind of stuff.
So you're truly consulting with them, and then, and this may be a silly question, but are you kind of equipment or technology agnostic from the point of you're able to give them different options?
Yes, most definitely. We are hardware agnostic. We're a consulting firm. We are not pressing the client to take on equipment they don't need. My mantra really is that we want the client to have an ROI on whatever we give them of 2 years or less. That, of course, doesn't include storage batteries or solar, but I have a client right now that's a manufacturer. He's going to put a solar system on his building. It's going to cost him about $150,000, but once he gets all the various rebates and federal tax credits, he's going to literally be out of pocket about $60,000, and he's got a 4-year ROI, which is unbelievable. So it can be short, but typically the stuff that we do will be 2 years or less for anything that we implement. And we can then go to the market and grab whatever hardware is the most appropriate to solve the problem.
Great. So that was my next question. So you probably have relationships and you know which hardware and technologies are out there.
Well, that's the thing with AI and with the Internet of Things. There's so many different things out there. It's my job to stay on top of what's good and what's not, and how to be able to get the best application for the client.
Awesome. So before we let you go, Mark, maybe give us a little sense of when you're not consulting on the energy side and chasing around corgis, where do you like to spend your free time?
Well, I love hanging out with my girls and my wife. We like to travel. We're a little bit of foodies, so we love going out to the good restaurants and just hanging out. Even it's funny, whenever we travel, we love, and we're going by road, we love going to truck stops.
Really?
Yeah, so just silly stuff like that. I like photography and lots of different sports, but yeah, just kind of hanging out and doing the family thing is always the best.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely link up all of Mark's contact information as well as his company information in the show description below. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and we'll look forward to answering them. So thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you, Tim. I really appreciate it.